In the United States, millions of people are living with dementia and Alzheimer's. Millions more are acting as caregivers for those family members. Team 10 investigator Adam Rakusin spent the past year speaking with people across the country. He reveals the emotional and financial challenges for those families and the devastating consequences of the cost of care.
Onion, tomato, I know I have tomato. She cooked 3 meals a day. Cilantro, always have to have cilantro.
Sometimes when words are hard, food can be the best form of communication.
Okay.
Between a mother and daughter.
She's had dementia for probably the last 15 years.
Norma Almanza and her 98-year-old mother, Irene, share this one-bedroom apartment.
So this is her bedroom and my bedroom. As you can see, we've got to be close to each other.
It's just blocks from the multi-million-dollar high-rises in downtown San Diego.
This closet is now her clothes. I'm out of this, and it's a very tiny closet.
It's not just space that's tight.
¿Te gustan las albóndigas?
Norma's retired and now financially responsible for both of them. With Irene's memory fading, she needs around-the-clock care.
I looked into hiring caregivers.
At this point, would you even be able to afford a round-the-clock caregiver for her?
No.
So, that unpaid job with hours that run all day, every day, falls on Norma.
I'd realized that I hadn't hugged her in a long time. In a long, long time. And that was difficult. I put this together a long time ago for a family reunion. That was our entry into the United States in 1957.
Irene has Medicare. That's the federal health insurance for people 65 and older. She also qualifies for Medi-Cal, California's Medicaid health program for people who don't have much income, if any.
Does Medi-Cal or Medicare or any other type of insurance actually help you pay the bills for her, or is all of that coming out of your finances?
That comes out of mine.
Norma does get help from a nonprofit, but it only covers 10 hours a week of caregiving help.
What's the most difficult part about caring for someone with dementia?
Somewhere in there is my mother. But the person that's there on a daily basis is not someone I like. So I have to go back to the memory of the fact that there's someone in there that's my mother. And that's very hard. That's very hard to feel the anger at times I feel, and I know it's out of exhaustion. That hurts me. But that's the hardest part.
Irene is one of the more than 7 million Americans living with some form of dementia. The majority of those cases, Alzheimer's. It's estimated that Alzheimer's and other dementias will cost the United States $345 billion this year. By 2050, dementia costs could rise to nearly $1 trillion. That's about the entire economy of Mexico. A financial blow that will impact generations of families.
For most people, it's an enormous financial impact that they struggle to find solutions to.
Julie Zizimopoulos is a professor in the Sol Price School of Public Policy at the University of Southern California. She's the expert when it comes to economic costs of dementia and its impacts.
In general, Medicare will not pay for 24 hours of just care that is needed by persons living with dementia. Medicaid pays for some long-term care, but again, it's a small percentage of the population that's eligible for Medicaid and covered care.
Zizimopoulos says a lot of families fall into a patchwork of systems across the country that in many cases provides little, if any, help for people living with dementia and Alzheimer's.
Due to the financial impacts of this, do you think the system to take care of people is broken?
I don't know if I would say it's broken, because broken sort of assumes that at some point it was built and then it fell down. It's never developed.
he fell down and broke his neck in February. Do you remember that?
No,
You don't remember breaking your neck?
it was not a big deal.
Vicky, her brother Andrew, and their father Gabor, who's living with dementia, are one of those families that fell through the cracks.
I'm looking for anything and everything to try, any opportunity to try and slow down the pace at which we're running out of funds, which ultimately we are going to. I mean, he is first and then it's next. You know, we are next.
The family immigrated to the United States from Hungary in 1990 with almost nothing. They pulled themselves from poverty to success, only to be dragged back to emotional and financial uncertainty.
You're forced into the situation and you have to figure it out. And yeah, it's one bad decision against another bad decision.
Decisions like who's going to take care of their father.
As soon as it became clear to us that a memory care facility is not covered by neither insurance or Medicare or any of these in our society, we had to start thinking very quickly. Money was just flowing out of our pockets.
Andrew gave up his home close to work and moved into a house in the Denver suburbs with a caretaker to try and make it work.
But my immediate savings took a huge hit, like 40% of it, 50% of it is gone. Just thousands of dollars.
Gabor's a Holocaust survivor. His dad died in a concentration camp. Gabor does get some money on behalf of Jews who suffered under the Nazis, but it doesn't come close to covering the bills.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't slept much, you know? I haven't slept much.
Why?
You know, life is tough. Yeah. See, and these kind of things make it even harder because, you know, like, I can't explain it. There's no, you know, recognition of it, and I can't blame him.
To help cover the cost of care, Vicky's boyfriend set up a GoFundMe, one of the thousands of memory care fundraisers on the site. While they've raised some money, Vicky and Andrew are still behind and struggling. And the impact is more than just financial.
How is it going to impact my future? Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm already falling apart physically. I'm not taking care of myself physically, mentally, emotionally, and eventually it's, you know, I mean, I know it's costing me. I mean, I'm sure a couple of years have already been cut down, you know, from my life expectancy, but whatever. As long as it's necessary, you know, I'm gonna do what I need to do. And because I don't feel like I can walk away.
Norma can't walk away either.
They tell you that bathrooms are the places where accidents are most. As you can see, there's not much space here. I took up all the carpets. We have a chair, a shower chair. Okay.
Every day, she balances the love for her mother with exhaustion and personal grief, not knowing what comes next in this long goodbye.
How long can you do this before it has a significant impact on the money you need to retire and live?
That's my concern. She is definitely healthy. Like I said, she's even improved. So she could live much longer, and that would drain me. That would drain me significantly.
A disease that destroys so many lives, a critically important topic of our time. Thank you, Adam.
Across the country, millions of people are living with Alzheimer's and dementia. In most cases, they need extra help or long-term care. But that care can be thousands of dollars, and many cannot afford it. Team 10 investigator Adam Rakusin explains the cost of long-term care and planning for the unknown.
The way I get through all that's been going on with Paul is I look for the blessings.
When you're in love,
We've been married 39 years, so
there's nothing you wouldn't do to spend time with your other half.
what would I want if the roles were reversed? If I were the one with Alzheimer's, what would I want him to do? And being with me is what I would want, so that's what I'll do for him.
So every day of every week, Linda Smith makes this 20-minute trip from her home in Encinitas to a memory care facility in San Marcos to see her husband, Paul.
Hi, Kyle. Can we go back to your room?
Linda and Paul met 40 years ago.
Blind date in Oklahoma City.
3 weeks later, Paul proposed.
I made him wait a month before I accepted.
Love at first sight.
A chance meeting turned into an adventure of a lifetime. But just as life has a way of pulling you in with its beauty, it can also be ruthless, ripping at the seams of a once unbreakable bond.
Paul, you doing okay?
At the age of 62, Paul was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's.
He had a very slow decline for the first 4 or 5 years. And in the last year and a half, 2 years, it's been much more rapid, especially this year. It's been bad.
When it became too dangerous for Paul to live at home, he moved into this memory care facility about 10 miles away.
Paul, you doing okay? Okay.
Linda says Paul's new home costs $8,600 a month.
I look for blessings, and one of the blessings was the long-term care insurance that we were able to obtain prior to his diagnosis, thank God.
Linda's a planner. She also worked in the healthcare industry, knew the cost of nursing homes, and her own financial status. Linda weighed the risk of long-term care insurance premiums against the chance she or Paul would ever need help.
A lot of people don't get it not because they don't want it or might need it, but because they can't afford it. The premiums for the two of us together ran $6,000 a year.
On top of everything else.
Yeah, $500 a month.
Her plan covers up to $8,000 a month. That's more than 90% of Paul's memory care center costs.
If we didn't have long-term care, we'd be pulling from his and then my retirement accounts. I'm planning on living to a ripe old age after we're done with this journey. And we would decimate, the accounts without this.
Long-term care insurance can cover most skilled nursing homes, home care coverage, and residential-type care facilities, among other things. But it's an added expense. According to the AARP, about 70% of Americans who reach 65 will need some long-term care. Yet the percentage of those who have it is nowhere near that.
Insurance is tricky with memory care and Alzheimer's as a whole.
Janet Hamada Kelly is the head of the Alzheimer's Association in San Diego. Their numbers show the median cost for an assisted living facility last year was about $57,000. For a private room in a nursing home, that price went up to $115,000.
If we look at the facts of 1 in 3 will have some form of dementia or Alzheimer's by the time they pass, that's impacting a lot of people. And as our population gets older, we will see more and more cases.
In the Pacific Northwest, lawmakers are trying to help with those costs.
For everyone in the middle, they're exposed to the risk of this bankrupting them or, making people have to quit their jobs to care for a parent, for example, or a spouse.
Ben Vighetti is the director of the WA Cares Fund. This year, the state of Washington launched a state-run long-term care insurance program.
The WA Cares Fund is a program which makes it possible for the broad middle class to have access to affordable long-term care insurance for the first time in the history of this country. Workers in Washington have a little over 0.5% deducted from their paycheck. After a decade of contributing, they'll be able to get up to $36,500 for long-term care. That amount can go up with inflation. The state of California is also looking into a long-term care insurance program. A task force found most Californians can't afford 3 months of nursing home care. Almost half can't afford even 1 month.
It means so much to me to be able to be with Paul as much as I can. And I know Paul appreciates it.
Despite losing her husband one day at a time, Linda knows things could be worse. So she soaks up what she can.
You doing okay?
A simple touch here, a laugh there.
He's napping.
No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
Moments Linda can hold on to, knowing it's what she'd want if the roles were reversed.
I think back to our marriage vows. It's the one part of the ceremony that I really stuck in my head. Instead of for better or for worse, it was through the goodness that brightens our days and the sadness that darkens our days. This is the sad time. But at the same time, we try to make whatever joy we can and find the blessings and the joy.
That was Adam Rakusin helping us to see the blessings and the joy. Linda told us some of Paul's favorite things were watching Formula One racing, spending time with his kids, and holding her hand. Wow, I didn't think I was going to get emotional.
Millions of people across the country are taking care of loved ones living with Alzheimer's and other types of dementia. Many are struggling to afford care or looking for options that offer a short daily break. Team 10 investigator Adam Rakusin discovered one San Diego program that helps families find a bit of relief.
There are things in life we do that just seem routine. Every day the same, with little to no deviation.
She's smart, you know that, when people come over.
Moments in time that most of us take for granted.
I just get up, take a shower, get dressed.
For 86-year-old Sarah Rowland.
I'm 86. 80 what? 86. 86. I'm on my way out, but I'm happy.
She's living in this moment. But a few minutes from now, she may not remember parts, if not all of it.
Soy milk, Cheerios, and a banana for years. And I'm still here. Praise the Lord. 80 what? 86. Still walking.
For her daughter Diane.
You know what it's like to have a 5-year-old, right? This is exactly what it is, but it's not a child. It's your parent.
There's no exact start to when Sarah's memory began to fade.
The short-term memory is basically gone.
But it got to a point where living on her own wasn't safe. So as any good parent would do, Diane moved her mom back in. 3 generations under one roof.
How do you manage 3 kids in a house and someone that needs full-time caregiving?
That's a great question. I don't know. You know, I mean, it's doing what you have to do every day.
Getting to that point requires a little help from some friends.
See you later.
Like the excitement around the first day of school.
Morning, Sarah.
Good morning. Good morning, Adele. Good morning. Good morning. Fine. What about you?
4 days a week, Sarah rides the bus.
We live in San Diego. And it's beautiful, right?
To and from the Balboa Avenue Older Adult Center.
Thank you. Thank you.
Behave yourself.
No, I'm not going to behave. I'll be bad girl today.
It's a couple-mile journey that takes less than 10 minutes, but an adventure that opens up a world of possibilities for Sarah and her family.
Good morning, sweetie.
Inside this small room, a Jewish family service.
And let it go.
There's only one main requirement to get in.
It's a program for people with dementia. Why?
Aviva Saad is the program coordinator.
I have been doing this 16 years. So.
And every day of those 16 years is different. Well, almost. And with this group, that's okay.
They will forget what they ate. They will forget what they do, because they will. But the following day when they come back, they enter with such love and excitement because they know that this place is an amazing place and they're gonna have fun.
The cost, around $50 a day.
People don't have those thousands and thousands of dollars to pay for caregiving or for daycare centers. Too much money. So when they bring their loved one here, those 4 hours are amazing. Amazing.
It's a lifeline for people like Patricia and Bill, married 26 years and struggling.
That persistence of needing to help someone who needs you I'm going to tear up, but it was so important.
Probably exhausting.
This program allows a daily break that won't financially ruin them.
I think it's a restoration of things I used to be able to do.
Come on!
For me, it's just getting my husband back.
Because time is precious.
Every day that I live knowing that if one of them dies right now, because we don't know, right? I made the days, the hours better and happier. And we all here make them feel important, even knowing them that they are not the same as they used to be. But at this point in their lives, who they are amazing.
1, 2, 3.
Every dance, every smile, every laugh is a moment not to be missed. Unlike the certainty of the bus picking up and dropping off.
I need to feel like when they're not here anymore, I have to be at peace with how we handled this.
Because you just don't know what moment will be your last.
So all my life I've been happy, and I'm ready to go. Up there, not down. When I go up there, not down.
You're ready?
Well, I'm 86. 80 what? 86. I'm on my way out, but I'm happy.
Words we should all remember. Every dance, every smile, every laugh is a moment not to be missed.
So tonight, members of Congress are responding to our Team 10 series, The Cost of Care. We've spent the past few days revealing the emotional and financial challenges for people living with Alzheimer's disease and dementia. Team 10 investigator Adam McCuson spoke with several members of Congress that are now pushing for changes to help families navigate through all of this.
Yeah, well, they say change is needed, and it's needed now to help so many people that are struggling. After watching our stories, Congresswoman Maxine Waters told me this impacts generations of people. She said we need to support this kind of legislation. We need to put the money up to do it. Waters, along with several others, say something has to happen.
To feel the anger at times I feel, and I know it's out of exhaustion. That hurts me. But that's the hardest part.
Watching the stories, such as we have just viewed in the presentation that you've made, you cannot help but have your heart just pound at what they're going through. The tears that must be shed every day.
From her office in Los Angeles, longtime Congressmember Maxine Waters is responding to the first in a series of stories about the cost of care.
At this point, would you even be able to afford a round-the-clock caregiver for her?
No.
The series looks at the life-altering costs families across the country face that have loved ones living with Alzheimer's and dementia.
As long as it's necessary, I'm going to do what I need to do.
We must help caregivers. We must do more to assist these families. Not only are families going broke, but the time that must be put into this care is such that people can't go to work every day. They can't do much of anything.
According to the Alzheimer's Association, more than 100,000 people in San Diego are living with dementia. Across the country, that number is more than 7 million. It's estimated that Alzheimer's and other dementias will cost the United States $345 billion this year. It's a dollar amount experts say lawmakers can't afford to ignore.
Due to the financial impacts of this, do you think the system to take care of people is broken?
I don't know if I would say it's broken, because broken sort of assumes that at some point it was built and then it fell down. It's never developed. We've never developed a system to deal with a disease like dementia without a treatment.
When you hear it being described as a patchwork of systems across the country, do you believe the federal government needs to come in and try to fix that so everything is equal?
Oh, absolutely. I heard her, and I think the question that she was answering, and it is not that the system has failed us. The system has never been in place. We don't have it in place. to deal with caregiving and dementia and Alzheimer's. We have not in this country of ours really developed from the federal level, working with the states, the kind of resources that are needed, just caregiving. This is so important.
Congressmember Linda Sanchez echoes Waters' feelings, saying it's time for lawmakers to step in.
It is an issue that the federal government needs to be concerned about because our population is aging. People are living longer than ever before.
For Sanchez, the push for federal assistance to patients and their family is personal.
Both of my parents suffered with Alzheimer's. My father passed from Alzheimer's, and my mother currently suffers with the disease. And I've just seen how devastating it can be for families and how difficult it is for family caregivers.
Both Sanchez and Waters have proposed several new laws to help with caregivers and treatment. The proposals would encourage early assessment and diagnosis of Alzheimer's and related dementias, expand aid to caregivers, and create training and support services for families with loved ones living with memory loss.
That is just heart-wrenching.
After watching our story, Representative Maxine Waters had this message to her colleagues in Congress who haven't supported her efforts.
We need to put the money up that's needed to do it. And we're just going to have to, get more confrontational about it and really make more demands and call them out and see what we can do. You can't lump this in with we've got to cut back on government. It's not fair.
And Representative Paul Tonko from New York also told me Congress can make a real difference in the lives of millions of Americans who are living with Alzheimer's disease and the millions more who love and care for them by making treatment more affordable, accessible, and comprehensive. We spent a week covering this topic. We put everything on our website under the tab, The Cost of Care. You can find all of the stories plus a list of resources, and we're not done. I want to hear from you. If this is something you've been battling, your family has been battling, I want to hear your story. We want to tell those stories. Well, I
know a lot of people are going to reach out, Adam. These 4 stories have been just phenomenal and just shining a light on this. And we know that it impacts a lot of people, but it really impacts minorities the most for learning.
It does. All the experts that I talked to say that this does have a huge impact on minorities. And as you heard, this can happen with generational wealth. This goes on for generations. So it is something that needs to be looked at because of the large impact it has on our community.